What was something your family did that you didn't realize wasn't normal until you did it in front of others? This one is kind of reverse, but I still remember the first time I visited a friend's house and discovered that their dad just lived with them all the time. For context, mine showed up once a year for my birthday until I was about 9, then never again after that. I feel bad for you, although I hate my dad. Dancing around our Christmas tree, not in like a satanic ritual sort of way, only during the holidays and your usual Christmas songs are sung. Did this every Christmas throughout my childhood on my mom's side. Apparently it's a Danish tradition, I believe. I brought it up to my friends one time and they thought I was insane. Seemed normal to little o me. Dancing around the Christmas tree is a required activity on Christmas Eve. Fact, pretty much everyone I know does it, but as you say, might just be a Danish thing. God weekend or gladelig jul. We do it in Sweden too. Or rather we used to when I was little, but everyone in my family hated it so much we stopped, so now the kids only have to do in school and stuff like that. That my mother would scream and yell every single night in her sleep. I legit thought it was a normal thing. My mom has nightmares, doesn't yours? Edit. Given the comments here, maybe a larger conversation needs to be had about why people have nightmares. Holy shocks. I dated a girl that had those and it not only creeped me out but she would start clawing and punching. Similarly, my mom is a diabetic and can't really keep her levels controlled some days. So sometimes my mom would wake up yelling in the middle of the night, disoriented and thinking she was dying due to low blood sugar when usually it was somewhat low or normal. My mom is a yawn yeller. When she yawns, you can hear it from anywhere in the house. One time my sister had a friend over, and we were in the basement. My mom yawned upstairs, and my sister's friend asked, "Was that a coyote?" My mom yells when she sneezes. In order for her to stop sneezing, she has to basically sneeze really loud, kinda like Catcheroo. One time my brother had a friend over and he thought something was going on outside. It was my mom sneezing in her room. My family does it too. It's a really bad habit and people give me weird looks when I accidentally do it in front of them. We had a bag in our deep freezer where we kept kitchen scraps until garbage night. It was pretty genius, but creeped some of my friends out when we would raid the Hot Pocket stash. I do this with veg scraps. I keep them for stock. Flush the toilet after peeing. We tried to save water, so we basically peed until someone took a dump. Then one day I went to a family friend's house and freaked everyone out because I didn't flush. Edit 1. Forgot to mention that we were a family of 5 with one working toilet, and my dad shocks like 3 times a day. Edit 2. Our bathroom was on the 2nd floor and it had a window. This thing can work until your bathroom gets filled with pee smell. Not recommended. Edit. Thanks, guys. Now my top voted comment is about the stain of pee. If it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. Turns out that sarcasm is considered really offensive by a lot of people. For my father it was basically the default mode of conversation. And I was 23 years old when someone finally explained to me that, no, this is not how it works for most humans. My dad and I speak really sarcastically, but it's always a joke and we both understand that. A guy I used to date insisted I was constantly being mean, but I didn't think I was being mean at all. He said it clicked once he met my dad and saw the way we spoke to each other. Oh really? You don't say. Use assorted German words in casual conversation, which as a child I assumed were English until I got confused stares from friends. My family has been in the US since 1902. My dad's family does it both ways. He thought a lot of Italian words were English. Then he visited Italy and discovered a lot of his Italian words were just English with an accent. Check for me. I didn't know the English word for better button for years. 3 out of 4 members of my immediate family have the same condition where we grow benign tumors in our brain and spine. So conversations about brain surgery and muscle wastage and loss of function are common. I knew it wasn't normal, but we kinda keep forgetting how most healthy people react to "Ugh, I'm losing the ability to move my toes." It's annoying. Is there any cause you'll have been able to determine? That's very interesting and kind of sad for everyone's toes. But at least there's some humor there. My mother had Crohn's disease all my life. Our family was very open about gas, bowel movements, and their consistency, etc. When my sister-in-law met my family, she thought it was cool because it was a taboo subject in her family. Oh, definitely casually telling my friends sexual conversations that my mom and I had. Turns out my mom was oversharing my whole life and I never knew it was weird. Edit. When I found out it was weird and talked to her about it, she said in a very sad voice, "But you're the one person who really understands me and who I can talk to about everything." She made it a solid year of trying before she slipped up and told me a story about how my stepdad fingered her in her sleep. Mine would try to guess who masturbated and openly called out my brother at the dinner table for being caught jerking off. Keep in mind I was 7. Reminds me of how my parents tried to explain to me they were swingers while trying to save their marriage. I was 15 at the time. I met all these new people, knew why they were in my house, everything. My dad forces us to say I love you. I say I love you quite forcefully now and I don't mean to. When people say they love me, and they aren't my family, I stutter and kinda go blank. I think, shocks, what do I say? How do I say it without it being forced? I was so used to ending phone calls with my children and my BF with I love you that one day I called in a pizza. When I was finished placing the order I told the guy I love you. He answered back and said, "Yeah, okay." I felt so dumb. God, I have this too. It was never explicitly forced, but it was often guilted out of us or we had to say it to reassure him. I had a really hard time being physically affectionate with others for a long time, and still struggle with saying I love you outside my family. We stored bread in the microwave, loaves, buns, rolls, you name it. To use the microwave we would pull it all out and then put it all back. Not sure why I didn't question this growing up. That's just where the bread was kept. I do this now. If it's in the cupboard it attracts mice. If it's on the counter the cat annihilates it. Can't win. Microwave bread safe it is. Welcome to the bread bank. We sell bread. We sell loaves. We got bread on the deck. Bread on the floor. Toasted, roasted. Apparently it isn't normal to do grave rubbings. When I was little and went to graveyards with my family, sometimes they would bring paper and crayons to rub old dates and names onto them like a leaf rubbing. I was reminiscing on this once with my friends and realized that these rubbings weren't a normal thing to do once they all gave me horrified looks. It's a hobby that was very popular in the 1970s. Maybe one of your parents did it as a kid? Oh, I've done this. We did it on a field trip once in school, and alongside doing brass rubbings at old churches. A family towel. We had a towel rack, and we just hang our towels. It wasn't designated to anyone in particular and every few days we'd just replace the dirty towel with a clean one. In college, a friend came to visit our home when she very politely asked why we all use the same towel. It just never occurred to me that that was weird. That is definitely an interesting one. What if someone just used it before you and it's all soggy? How often would you guys want the towel? Like a drying your hands towel? Normal. Drying your body after a shower? Definitely weird. Smoking indoors. I didn't do it, but my GF at the time had a veritable panic attack when we had my mother over for dinner. It was the first and only time my mother came to visit. I was born mid-70s, so I remember smoking in malls, planes, hospitals etc. Both my parents were non-smokers, which made them unique enough, but still every time someone came over, they'd pull out these giant ashtrays for their guests. Such a different time. In my house growing up, smoking inside was fine, so everyone, including my friends, did. I didn't want smoking inside and banned it. My stepmother was horrified my friends had smoked in her house, so had her friends, but that was neither here nor there. She was always hypocritical AF. Everyone in the family, extended family included, likes each other and gets along. One boyfriend commented that my family was weird because everyone got along, no massive fights, screaming and yelling each holiday, bringing up decade-old grudges once or twice a year. Like he has never met his uncle because his dad and uncle hate each other too much. TBH, this is weirder to me than the guy whose dad jizzes on him. Wait, is everyone getting along the weird thing? I know each family has their drama, but it can't be the norm for fighting, screaming, yelling, and such even through the holidays, right? Respond to sneezes with a sarcastic, "You are not blessed." I got a lot of weird looks in school from my teachers. I about killed a distant family member from a surprise laughing fit. My response sent him into though. LOL. He was actually kind of impressed we had that sense of humor at our young age. I used to say "bless me, damn you" after I sneeze. Was not popular thing to say in front of a teacher. My response to my best friends blessing me when I sneezed was "Hail Satan," so now they cut out the middleman and say "Hail Satan" whenever I sneeze. Saying "damn it" after sneezing. That was an interesting day in first grade. We say "shut up." Can be awkward with new people. Tends to get laughs though. That's hilarious LOL. Sleep after the meal during holiday get-togethers. Just the men. The women exchanged gifts. We would all go into the living room and watch football and kinda doze. No big deal. Did this once at my girlfriend's family Christmas and evidently I embarrassed her or maybe offended someone. Either way, I was the only one asleep while everyone else was energetic and conversing lively with family. I was woken up by girlfriend with an angry tone asking why I was asleep during the party. I was comfortable, relaxed, and we just had a lot of food. Made sense to me. Damn, that definitely seems like something that would be perfectly normal in some families and rude in others. Yeah, as a southern person in the US that always has a family member who is a good cook, it's almost looked at as a good thing. Like the turkey was so good that I ate so much to go into a food coma. Compliments to the chef LOL. My parents always had an open house policy. We lived in a tiny house but friends were always welcome to drop by. My friends were always welcome to stay. The house was always full of people. Holidays. Big meals with lots of family and friends. Went to my in-laws. Strict appointment only. Meals are had in silence even at holidays, and in 20 years I have never been allowed upstairs and neither has my daughter. She's 17 now and just doesn't visit them anymore because they are so weird. Husband avoids them as much as possible. I'm not sure if they are the odd ones or my parents are. I'm not sure if they are the odd ones or my parents are. They are weird, or at least unwelcoming. Nice. Please smash the subscribe button to enjoy daily AskReddit content. My mom made up words. I didn't know this until I was an adult. Out in the world saying fake words and having no idea. Wonka-jawed means when you been laying or sitting down and your pants need to be adjusted. Goo goo baby, small baby that still makes cooing sounds and probably still wears a diaper. Just the memorable one. There are so many. I used to call my dress shoes clippity clops. My GMA says stair steps instead of just stairs or steps. I used to say it as a kid but I outgrew it. My in-laws. Every time they come around for a meal they'll start washing and drying all the dishes afterwards. Even stuff we have next to the sink from breaky lunch. And if I've convinced one of them they don't need to do the dishes, the next lot to step into the kitchen will come out asking why they all haven't done the dishes yet. They're Dutch. Maybe that gives this some context? That is a pretty Dutch thing to do. Yes, we like to help out our host and be polite guests. That's just called good manners. Apparently it's not normal for your parents to openly and graphically discuss their sex life with you. And it's definitely not normal for your parents to have multiple partners younger than you. Edit. Since so many are asking, my parents didn't start this behavior until I was an adult. When I say the partners are younger, I mean they're sleeping with college kids while I'm in my mid to late 20s. Oof, that's awkward. Not normal for your parents to have multiple partners younger than you. Wait. Hold up. Are we kinda itch the inside of our throats ears by making this noise with our throats and putting one finger in your ear and moving it real fast? Apparently this is very weird and my friends still look at me funny. OMG, we do the throat noise too. It's like my whole family does it instinctively and it annoys freaks people out to no end. My co-worker used to tell me I sounded like a whale when I did it, which was a lot because hello allergies. OMG, I do that to scratch the inside of my ear and my mom hates it. The if he hits you, it's okay to hit him back rule. I'm saying since I only have a brother, just as long as it wasn't downright brutal or enough to have longer term consequences that a string that lasts maybe 3 minutes, it was okay. Edit. We also don't have formal breakfasts or even lunches, just dinners, and even those can get muddled. Breakfast because we all have widely varying sleep schedules. And lunch because we don't really have that much free time around noon. I'm older than my brother, so this didn't happen, but when he was a baby going through his biting stage, my dad told me to bite him back. I did. I don't think he bit me again. I was encouraged to hit my big brother back if he hit me. Unfortunately, I was always crying too hard by that point. When we have big family dinners Sunday NGHTS, Thanksgiving, birthday dinners, Christmas, and just regular nightly dinner, my mom would serve us each individually from the kitchen instead of putting the food on the table and letting everyone serve themselves. I didn't realize how weird this was until being a guest at others' family dinners and seeing that not a single one of my friends' moms did this. It makes a lot more sense to let people serve themselves, other than children, as they know what they want and how much, a lot more than the hostess knows. It's also a very working class way of arranging meal times. Working class families have less of a budget, so letting people, especially kids, choose how much they want to eat isn't an option. There's usually a set amount to go around, so it's given rather than taken. I don't know. I feel letting everyone serve themselves is very American. I'd say more than 80% of the meals at someone's house, the food has been served for you. Having lived in Australia and New Zealand. I asked my friend's parents why there was only one mum. Thought everyone had two. Not the smartest of moves in the 80s. That's adorable. Aside from the lesbian part, it's a rather dangerous question to ask someone why one parent is missing. Imagine even if the other person actually used to have two moms like you, but one had passed away. To me, it was normal to have parents run out in the middle of anything for fire depth calls. It didn't worry me too much until I saw a big ass farm propane tank explode as my dad went driving up towards the fire. Some of my friends asked if I was concerned about them getting hurt, killed while out on a fire call, but it never occurred to me to worry about that because they've usually always came home. My dad ended up in hospital a couple times, but I've never worried about that. Now my kid, can grow up with that haha. My dad is a stunt man, so the hospital injuries are also common haha. Turns out other kids react with shock and tears upon hearing their parent is in the hospital with broken ribs lol. Okay, so chasing fire trucks or actual fireman. My uncle used to have a scanner and chase fire trucks around to see them put out fires. Did this right up until he attended a car crash with some messed up shocks. Then he stopped. I grew up in a family of deep sleepers. I could sing loudly, slam the door, and talk on the phone at 2 AM, and I wouldn't get a single complaint. I've built some god-awful habits because of this. Didn't realize how rude I was when closing doors, staying up late until I moved to college and had roommates. Sorry to my roommates Josa and friends. God, I was the same. Took my boyfriend months to realize it was okay to sleep with loud music on all night long. My parents are very open about their sex lives. Thank the Lord mine are not. Having a physical fight at least 3 times a day, but we weren't arguing, kind of like playing fighting games. Keeps you in shape. My brother and I still wrestle or fight. I'm F23 and he's M17. I think others might think it's weird. Using baby wipes in the bathroom when we did number 2. I mean, I never did it in front of everyone. But every friend's house except for one didn't even have the option to do so. My family does this. I didn't know it was weird until I went to uni and had people over at my apartment and they were curious about the baby wipes in the bathroom. I would do that, except I don't want to have to deal with a trash can full of poopy wipes. Stealing food from each other's plate at dinner time. Once we had finished our meal, you would pick out the slowest ones, usually mum's. Wasn't until I did it at my now wife's house that I learned no one else did this. Joey doesn't share food. Rude to eat off someone's plate who is just a slow eater, especially while they still eating. If they've finished, then go nuts over the leftovers. We would have a plate of sliced cheddar on the table every morning for breakfast, and eat pieces of cheese as part of the meal. Apparently other people don't do that. Shocks, cheese for breakfast? Sign me up. That sounds awesome. European parent, my Belgian friend always ate cheese at breakfast. It makes sense. It's a protein. Having 2 mums. A lot of the family friends were 2-mom households with the occasional 2-dad household. My best friend through junior school had a single mother. I must have been almost 10 when I realized that most families have a mom and a dad. Maybe it's just cause I'm queer, but I find that so wholesome. Have a glass of milk with every meal. I was diagnosed with severe asthma as a baby. They'd find me blue in the lips. My parents smoked around me until I was 8. They also stopped taking me to the doctor once I outgrew the hypoxia. My childhood was filled with suffering and shortness of breath. I thought everyone got sick like me and that I was just a massive wimp. Edit. It's hard to type on an iPad. That's not a fun family quirk. That's child abuse. I also have severe asthma and having trouble breathing as we speak because my dad smokes in the house LMAO, so I felt this on another level. Eating ribs with a fork and knife. I was 17 when I found out that it is okay to pick them up and eat them with your hands. Reminds me of my friend who as a kid, he was forced to eat pizza with a knife and fork by his mum. I remember going round to his one day and was so confused when everyone was eating with cutlery. Not in my book, it isn't. We buy treats for family every time we leave the house. And by every time, I mean every single time. Every time I get off work, I buy a treat for my siblings to share. Every time someone in the house has an errand to run, they come back with a treat for everyone. Didn't realize it wasn't a normal thing until I asked friends to wait for me while I picked out some snacks to take home. Giving nicknames to everything we see, and talking to everything we see. I used to think it's normal to have a conversation with every pigeon on my way, but then I did it while walking with my friend. And that was the time when I found out that my parents are weirdos. My family does the same. We all have nicknames for everybody and everything. And we talked for all our animals. My mom has always had full-on conversations with her pets and we all sort of just picked that up. But then how will Petty the pigeon know that all your co-workers are a bunch of morons, lol. Nice. Please smash the subscribe button to enjoy daily AskReddit content. Use applesauce as a condiment for hot dogs. Edit. This blew up while I was asleep. Just to clarify, I'm American not German, but it's cool that people think I am. Maybe my ancestors were. The applesauce adds sweetness kinda like ketchup does. I switch the ketchup for applesauce. Add mustard to balance out the sweetness and top it with chili. You what, mate? That's just the German way. Ever had applesauce on potato pancakes? Delicious. Have you ever had apple butter? We keep our syrup in fridge. Apparently people keep it in the cupboard. Real maple syrup goes in the fridge. Aunt Jemima or any of those mostly added sugar syrup go in the cupboard. Real syrup should absolutely be kept in the fridge. Not my family but my BFs. I was at their house and his parents were making dinner in the kitchen, prepping vegetables, while we and his brothers hung out in the living room. After a bit his dad comes in with sliced discs of raw potato and hands one to each of us. I was like, UHH. What am I meant to do with this? And they all go, eat it, it's a snack. I took a little bite and it tasted just as starchy and bland and downright odd as I imagined it would. Apparently they do that every time they have potatoes. I didn't even know they could be eaten raw. The Irish, man. Weird folk. My mom snacks on raw potato slices. I have no idea why, or who bestowed this abomination upon her, but it's weird as shocks. My mom always brought my sister and I a chunk of raw potato when she was making mashed potatoes. Loved it then, love it now. We keep our trash can in our pantry. You sinner. What do you keep your cereal under the sink? Eating dessert any time of the day. We ate dessert like dinner, sometimes with a side of ice cream. Cake and cookies organized on the plate like you know, a balanced meal. Leftover cake was acceptable for breakfast the next day. Obviously it didn't happen often, but boy did we brag about it in school that day.